All right, we're starting the recording. With allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. All right, just number 2, the benefits in healthcare discussion, just kind of giving you an update on that, and then to talk about what we might see in the future. On the 20th of this month, I've held a time frame around 3:30 to 4:30, maybe 3:30 to 5, it all depends, with 2 of every formal bargaining and informal bargaining group, so that if we indeed get the information that we expect to, either by this coming Friday or the Monday, that we would be able to present that information from our broker to start that conversation. Basically, we have until February 1st or just before February 1st to make a decision if we do want to make a move. And so there's going to have to be a lot of very fast and intense conversations around that to make sure that that is something that we can do. And then, of course, the planning afterwards of how to make sure that all takes place. But if we do find out that the inquiries that we've put in place pay or would seemingly pay off and provide us with the services that we are looking for, then it may be something that would be well worth, really putting our time into prior to that February 1st time frame. February 1st is when we have to provide school care notice whether we're going to re-up with them.
Okay.
So.
So you're not, I'm sorry to interrupt you.
Yep.
I'm confused. I thought you were talking about more general CDA issues. I didn't realize you were talking about risk pool and insurance things.
2 things. So we'll
Okay.
talk about 2 things. The first one was we'll talk about healthcare, because that one is a time sensitive. They're all kind of time sensitive, I suppose, but that one's a time sensitive one for the entire district and for possible good budget conversations, depending. The broker, Cross Insurance, is the broker that we're utilizing, largest broker in New England. They are, I have a phone call with them in the next couple of days to find out kind of where they're at, to just check up, but they had about a week ago indicated that it was going to be a couple weeks. And so they understand that we're on a tight time frame. So without knowing the actual time and date that we're getting the information back from them, we're estimating, and we've already set up a meeting to make sure that we can start those conversations right when we have that information. And then from that first meeting that we have, then we'll probably map out the rest of the month as to how we have to go about doing things. And that can mean board member involvement in the CBA, following the CBA, when it comes to that means collective bargaining agreement, as it comes with the JRSSA and with the JREA, and also with the other groups as well.
Yep.
So that's just more of an FYI that that's happening, and that we have February 1st as a deadline to give school care the notice of whether we're going to stay with them next year. And if there is a chance that something better could come our way for our district and for our employees, then it's going to be a fast turnaround. So a lot of work to do. Potentially.
How would this affect next year's budget at all?
It would depend on what we get back for numbers, which is part of this, right? What we get back for numbers for what the premiums are.
Yeah, I guess I'm thinking timing wise, right? Is it
Well,
too late would it, so I know we're talking February, would we have enough information or I'm just,
Yeah, because
that's even a possibility.
well, if it's even a possibility, then what I can say is that you would have information prior to the deliberative session.
Okay.
Because February 4th is the deliberative session, February 1st would be the date you'd have to let school care know, and so we'd have to know before then, hopefully the 20th or the 21st when we get the information to us, what exactly we're looking for. And what are we looking for? We're looking for, one, we want a little more stability, to be part of an organization or a pool that's going to not run into these large difficulties. A broker that's going to continuously look to see if we can get the best pricing, not having huge increases from year to year. We would want to have one of the more known plans, right? So Cigna is certainly one of the groups possibly giving us information, but also Anthem, also Harvard Pilgrim, also maybe United Health. I think there's another one as well. I can't remember. But there's like 5 of them. There's like the big 5. And so we will get that information and see if any of them work. They may provide, we asked for some variety, and so we wanted variety both in the type of plan. So, for instance, some individuals might have point of service plans or which function like an HMO almost, but with a little more freedom and perhaps ability to go, more places. In network, out of network, or however. And then there's what we have, which is a deductible plan. So we would want something that would be at least what we currently have. And that is necessary to even have this conversation with the associations. And then we certainly would be very interested in seeing if we could do better with our premiums. And our health insurance is expensive. And so when you look at a family plan, for instance, right now, if you were to take everyone's portion of it, it's over $40,000. So a year annually.
Thank you for pursuing this.
And then the benefits.
Can I just,
Yes.
one more thing on that? I had read, and I know you talked about a few different types of plans that I know.
Sure.
A lot of companies are pushing these high deductible plans because assuming they save a lot of money, right? And they could be beneficial for certain employees.
They could be.
I read, one of our local school districts actually cited the fact that many of their employees chose those high deductible plans as a reason why, their benefits cost didn't increase as much as others. So I don't know if that would be an option, but just putting it out there as an option.
Yeah.
The fact that another school district cited, like, hey, a bunch of people chose this plan and it saved us, I don't know the specifics, but might be, if it's a possibility, I'd be good to have that on the table.
And we asked for a variety because, for instance, as you'll see later on, we, in our negotiations, stuck with the percentage of what would be paid by the district and what would be paid by the employee. And there are plans like what you just talked about, where if individuals are interested in really more the all the preventative parts of healthcare that are usually free, quote unquote, to those plans, then you're okay getting less taken out of your paycheck and then using it for just the big emergencies that would take place. And then those plans are less expensive to everyone involved. And so, and they tend not to go up as high. Interestingly enough, because the district could, for instance, say, well, we could offer, 95% of that plan or something of that nature as opposed to 80% of that plan. And that might work well for someone if they're not having any out-of-pocket expenses like that. That can work well. And it can work well for the district simultaneously.
Yeah, I when I was at Oracle up until last September, I had one of those high deductible plans for about 4 years, and they do pay for preventative care.
Yes.
You just have a higher deductible if you have to use your insurance.
If you really have to use it, yep.
Yeah, and you also have to, the company had to give us a healthcare spending account, and we had to had the option of contributing to it to offset those costs. So.
Yep. And that's another piece that we don't have. that we could be looking at as part of it. Yep. The other piece is that I'm going to be bringing some documents forward for approval, board approval around the SAU exempt and SAU non-exempt. A while back, we had sent some documents. We have a couple of us in here that haven't really been able to get together yet. That's why I'm not putting it forward here right now. We have talked about it a little bit, but I still want to get together with them before the next board meeting and make sure that we're presenting what we want to present to the school board. But getting that wrapped up, that's probably easier than most things, but wrapped up would be good. It's been several years, probably two normal negotiation cycles since we've looked at that. Yep.
So, in looking at the possibility of the high deductible plans, which could save money for some families that don't really have a lot of needs, I think it's also important to make sure that there are low deductible plans for those families that do need.
We ask for variety. We ask for if there's a possibility to have variety, because right now we are really stuck with, I will say we have one plan. I don't want to say stuck, we're very fortunate, right? But we have one plan, but 3 different deductible choices. And so, and when looking at numbers, as you do in a negotiations that we're going to talk about in just a minute, you look at, well, does the district want to pay more for, say, the orange plan, which is a much higher deductible? In theory, that would, save the district some money because it's a plan that is not as costly, and people might say, yeah, I'll go on that. That's going to be worth it for me. It's going to be worth the savings and so forth. Except that plan, the way school care is working, that plan increased almost double in its annual increase than all the other ones. Matter of fact, it went in the complete reverse. It's almost like it was disincentivizing someone to take that plan, in a sense. Almost. I don't know. I can't say, but it seemed awfully. The numbers didn't work for us. Let's put it that way. There wasn't going to be a benefit. So that's more information. Does anyone else have any questions regarding that before we go on to the action item?
Ruben, why is school care asking to know 5 months ahead of time? Doesn't the contract go till July 1st?
It does. Well, July 1st or June 30th,
Right.
I think. But they require every year that you re-up sooner. Part of it is because there's open enrollment in the spring, and we have to have all of the documents, all the plans, everything approved and ready to go, and all the paperwork ready to go for people to be able to change plans and accept plans in spring.
Okay.
But
Hi, Sandy.
February 1st does not give us a lot
Hey,
of time.
John.
Although we've been working at this for a little bit, and the exchange of information, the exchange of data has gone fairly quickly, faster than we had anticipated. So that's good. We're hoping to get good information back. Again, I have a phone call later on this week with one of the individuals who we've been working with. To
Okay.
get an update. And I'll let the board know how things are going. All right.
Do we have someone on staff right between now and February 2nd who's can talk insurance? Because I know we have someone out for a little bit.
Sure. Yes, I think that we have a team of us who could do that.
Okay, who can break it down
Who can
and
break it?
explain
Who
it.
can break it down? Yep. It's not an ideal situation, but I've negotiated personally insurance plans in a couple different locations. So the types of insurance plans, I would be able to explain the nuances of the insurance plans. You'd actually want to have sessions where people came in and the companies themselves provided information, not so much relying upon our knowledge of that.
Okay.
Okay. So moving on to negotiations, this was a long one. Several different meetings, but we had a good final day, and the JRSSA has ratified the tentative agreement between that the board and the association came up with. So this is the first time that we've made any of this public, because we were not allowed to make any of this public. So now we can take a look at this, and the board, what we would need is the board to make a motion and vote to approve this. And what that means is approve this going on to the warrant, to put that forward to be voted upon. I will, at the last, last slide or the last couple slides, there will be a sample warrant, what it would look like. It is still with the attorney, so some of the language might change, but more or less the structure is going to be what it is. So I'm not going to spend a lot of time going through each slide. I have a lot of them because there was a lot of language changing here. But I think it's important to thank all the individuals who are, let me just enlarge this a little bit, who negotiated both from the JRSSA and the school board. There are a few others of us at the SAU who were with the school board, but you can see the school board members there. There was no time where all four were together, but there were some trade outs because this was a long negotiation and people had to come in and out often. And then also the JRSSA had their NEA Uniserv director with them. We did at some point in time use an attorney from Drummond and Woodsum. Anna helped us from that organization, that firm. So there were a lot of language updates. The bulk of the negotiation was language. A lot of language suggestions were put on the table that aren't here. Probably a third of them aren't in what I'm going to show you, and we have a lot of adjustments. Many of them are cleaning up maybe some grammar or some, like we have a procedure and we're just making it clearer, just so that there's less misunderstanding of the process. Some of it, like this first one right here, changing the library media associates to the kind of modernizing the language to library paraprofessionals, matches some of our other categories of employees. You can see that in those two areas of the contract. This area of the contract, 5.1, without all of that red that's there, that's added, is foundational or is original to this contract being developed. And this has to do with just cause or in this case, not using just cause. And this is something that the school board has always negotiated very, very firmly in how it views managerial rights and discipline and so forth. That said, we did add some extra language here that we felt, one, was more or less a practice that we do have and I have done in the past, and something that gives the JRSSA members, the support staff members, one more step, one more, I guess you could say, time at being able to explain their side of something. And so puts the superintendent into a spot where the employee gets to have a hearing with the superintendent before a couple of these areas of discipline. Some language around transfer, involuntary transfer, just making sure that if someone is involuntarily transferred, there would be professional development as to what their new role would be within that. Usually it is often a different site. And so even though the job itself might be very similar, the location usually changes something. 7.1, this language right here is just cleaning it up and making sure that we're communicating everything that people feel is important within the notice of employment. It's like a contract, basically. I mean, all that we're talking about is the contract, but the notice of employment is what they sign. So some language was struck there as well. more of the library paraprofessional language. And then 8.1, some of the language does imply it has to work in tandem with the salary scales because some people are off the salary scale. And so if they've been part of our system for 10 years, they've always had some sort of longevity step. This year, we added something for those who were there 5 years as well. So if they're off step and 5 years, so they would have the previous year had to have been on the final step and then going into, and they would have been here 5 years. And that's just some new language. Clarification around callback pay. Some increases there for people who are responsible for snow removal. I think clarifying that all snow removal is considered callback pay. That has been the practice, but because there has been quite a bit of movement with personnel in the facilities area alone, you'll see a lot of these have to do with facilities. Like the emergency phone calls, individuals are getting called 1 o'clock, 2 o'clock in the morning. Maybe obviously we had to deal with texting as well. In the past, that was not something. Now we have to kind of define what that looks like. And then what we do around payment of people with, or how people can make up work and so forth with when we have delayed or openings or early releases. We almost never have an early release. It does happen, but delayed openings. Uh, 8.3, the changes has more to do with giving people prior notice of what they can expect their professional development days to be like in that particular bargaining agreement. For instance, this Friday, we're going to have a professional development day. Various things are happening for the Teachers Association, some for the paraprofessionals and the custodians, and we often have not done a lot of PD with the custodians, and so we are this year on safe lifting, and we have lifting belts and so forth that we're handing out. Plus, there's some other sessions in the afternoon. 8.4 is very similar to what we had. I think we cleaned up the language a little bit, maybe increased the amount of money, and maybe put some flexibility in there with sweatshirts and jackets and so forth, things of that nature. Or I think we wanted more flexibility. I think they wanted a little bit less, and so it was fine. Either way, it was fine for us. I think we put the flexibility in. We would be able to support them with the shoes, the pants, clothing that gets worn within their jobs because they're so physical that, we're not having to necessarily reimburse them. A district might be able to go and do a purchase order for some of these items as well, which is why we reference the school district policy for purchasing. This keeps the 403. Well, first of all, it changes it so that it says 403 instead of 405, so correcting it. But 403B to 15 per pay period for the next 3 years. Adds 10 days. This next one adds 10 days onto the work year for secretaries. Secretaries used to be clerical aides. Administrative assistants used to be secretaries. We changed the language, some of the duties and so forth. We find that during the summertime, there's quite a bit of registration work that needs to happen, especially with our digital systems, and we don't always have the people to do it. Time during the day to do some Medicaid work for those. There's a select group of people who do. It's not a lot of the people in the bargaining unit, but there's a group of them that do. You do Medicaid work, data entry. 8.9, clarifying a practice that has been in existence. 9.1, everything stayed the same with healthcare, except that health school care is having us leave the yellow with choice, open access, the yellow and the orange, and going to what they call the 2.0 plan. Now, while the benefit concept is the same, and a little bit less is taken out of, it's a little, more cost effective in the sense of premiums, there is more out of pocket paying from the individual who has these. And this was something that we don't have a choice but to go forward with. Now, we could have a choice depending on what I talked about earlier.
On the 20th.
That's right. But this was something that we had to do. It was a unilateral decision by the company. JREA would get to stay on it, the current plan that we have, for one more year because it is tied to their collective bargaining agreement.
Ruben, if you were to change health insurers based on the information you receive in these meetings coming up, do the associations have to approve that, or?
There's language in both of the bargaining units that talks about the process that has to be taken. Yep. Yeah, we can't just do it. This is just talking about how a payment gets done, a stipend gets paid throughout the course of a year instead of a one-time payment. This does a couple things actually. Allows people who are 50% employees or more to have dental coverage or single-person dental coverage. So you can see where the change is there. But also the plan itself is different. So the plan is what the entire district is on. JRSSA just hadn't had an opportunity to shift over to that through a negotiation process. So now, if this were to pass, everyone would be on the same plan. Just some clarification. 10.1.8 was something that I know was important to the association. We went back and forth quite a bit on this because we've had history with this type of situation. We did come to a compromise so that sick leave can be used. Also, there's later on down the road, so I don't, spend a lot of time on it. The sick bank is also, to a degree, is allowed to be used for supporting individuals who are out on workers' comp if they've been injured on the job. And basically, it will all work so that through the workers' comp process, with whatever they get that is paid to them through workers' comp, it will be subsidized with sick time up to what they would be paid if they were here working a regular week or their regular schedule. Two more holidays. This is kind of actually a little exciting. 2 more holidays for those. This is specifically for really school year people, people who are 210 days underneath. They have 3 paid holidays. What they are getting is 2 paid holidays, but they are able to utilize those 2 holidays as flex days. So they can put them on specific days. For instance, if we have a snow day and they want to get paid during that week the same, not have to, for whatever reason, they can say, I want to use that holiday for that day. So it's a little bit more flexible for them.
So their salary that week won't be lower.
It wouldn't be lower. You wouldn't see the spikes. Yeah. If they don't use it, then they would get it paid out at the end of the year. Not much excitement there. This is the last group. Well, no, that's not true, because the SAU exempt and non-exempt, or one of those at least, would be the last group to do this type of language right here, but they put in some bonding leave. This is similar to the JRSSA language, a little bit different, and also has some other requirements for how long the person has been here in order to be able to access this. But it's a good step. We do not typically have a lot of individuals who are in the unit, but who have gone out on leave in comparison to the teaching population, but it still does happen. And it allows for both the individual having the child and the person who's with them supporting that child to be able to do so. This is about evaluations. It helps to give us a little more input, giving the association basically the same number of days that the teacher's contract has for their business that they have annually. This is about having a committee put together. You'll hear more about that. That doesn't bind us to anything for the life of the contract. There's some information about if an employee who's worked 6 months or more, if they're laid off, then they get to have their unused sick time and so forth paid out. Make that clear. Clarifying or making very clear if a person were to be reduced in force, they leave, what would happen if they came back? Where would they be placed on the salary scale? That does happen, actually, a fair amount. And this was what I talked about for the sick bank with that other clause that we had around workers' comp and the sick bank. And then this is right here, all of the items for the 3 years. This is a 3-year proposed, tentative agreement, 3-year contract. And so you can see this right here. You could compare it if you went back to this year's salaries. I think it's like the base is like 25 cents more than what it is this year. The following year, I believe it's like 50 cents more than that. And then the following year, it's 75 cents more, the base we're talking about. And then what that results in each of those categories there overall is a 5.3% increase for the group. In that first year, a 4.5%, 4.6% increase in the second year, and a 5% in the third year overall. There's a lot more to that than just simply, putting a 5% on there, but that's how it works so that you get the numbers that you have for the warrant articles. And so the draft warrant article would look like this. Standard language. It would list the amount, the total amount that would need to be raised and appropriated for the entire bargaining unit, but about 80 to 100 people. And then for the first year, the second year, and the third year of that contract, the bottom box there, the rectangle, the matrix, also provides the estimated tax impact per thousand. I mean, there's a lot of assumptions here, especially when you're going into the second and third year. Those could be adjusted a little bit depending on what our attorney says, but it's not going to be by a significant amount. It's probably what this is. And then, of course, what you're actually doing is you're, in that middle part of the paragraph, you're raising and appropriating the first year of this contract. That's what the voters are voting for. They're voting for, yes, the whole thing, but as it pertains to a warrant article and money being added to the operating budget for the following year, so becoming part of the adopted budget, that 236 number is what we're looking at. Any questions? Comments, thoughts? Anyone who went through this process?
Curious about the library one. I'm curious about the library.
The library paraprofessional?
The library the study group?
The study group.
Yeah. What did you mean? We're going to hear more about it later. Is this later?
Later in the sense that we don't have to get the group together for another year.
Yeah. Can we talk about what that is?
Sure.
I do believe we mentioned your name.
Yeah, you're on it, by the way. You may have been.
Threw you under the bus.
We did.
Okay.
Yeah. Yeah, so this reads, in the 2027-28 school year, the district shall form a committee of at least 2 management representatives. May include
a school
board member. Yep. We may include and 2 JRSSA representatives to evaluate. We can actually also bring in other people to this, like the JREA if we want to, and that might be part of a negotiation. Part of also the reason why we pushed it off a year, because if the JREA is negotiating next year for the following year, their librarians, the media specialists may actually want to be part of something of this nature. So that may further define how we move forward. But yeah, you've already been selected.
Okay.
Yeah. Other questions?
It was a hard negotiation, but I
It was
think
more challenging than
uh,
most. Yep.
I think that monetarily, we did okay, and held our ground on some of the more important language issues, and yet gave some space on some others. So hopefully this is a contract that our support staff will feel good about and feel like they've been listened to.
I think one of the bigger concerns at the beginning of the negotiations was a topic called pay stabilization, which would allow, if I'm saying this correctly, basically an estimate. It stabilizes the pay for hourly staff. And that's very difficult for our business office to set that up, and and the consequence of what happens if someone leaves mid-year. Do they end up owing us money? Do we owe, right? So all of that. And so what came out of that was the discussion and the decision to include the 2 flex days to help, in a way, stabilize paychecks so that if it's for instance, a long winter break, employees could choose, support staff could choose to use those 2 flex days during that time to at least ensure that there's some income coming in. And it was I believe, a very creative answer to a need that had been coming up repeatedly, which was paycheck stabilization. So I have heard from a couple people in the support staff, and they're very, literally 2 people, but they're both very pleased with the flex days. They really thought that was a creative and satisfactory outcome to meet their needs.
And so many of our support staff do live in the community, and it's really good to do the best we can by them. And
Yeah.
yeah, that's a good point about those flex days being a really creative response to a need.
But yeah, to a real need. I mean, you don't want someone to go, especially when the healthcare is being deducted, healthcare expenses are being deducted from their paycheck. If it happens to be a 2-week winter break, they could end up possibly owing money. So having this opportunity, I think, will help resolve some of that.
And I feel good about giving them the best increase we can afford under the circumstances, because, they do live, many of them do live in the community, and the increase in taxes may be reflected in their rent or in their property taxes, and this will just help them keep pace with inflation. So I feel like it's a very sincere effort to help them to do well.
Mm-hmm.
All right, so if there's no further discussion, we'll take a motion to approve the JRSSA 27 through 30?
26 through 29.
26 through 29 collective bargaining agreement. We'll take a motion.
I'll make that motion.
Thank you, John. And a second?
Second.
Thank you. And we'll do a roll call vote. Sandra?
Aye.
Judy? Christine?
Aye.
Chris?
I'm going to abstain.
Okay. John?
Aye.
And is Charlie on?
I don't believe Charlie is, but I will check, and if so, I will give him speaking ability.
Don't see him. Okay.
No.
All right. Any further discussion? No, we're all good? Okay. I say aye, and so that passes 1, 2, 3, 4, 4,
5.
5, 0,
510.
1.
Or 501.
501.
Great. And so that will go on to the next stage. It'll go on to the warrant. Good. Excellent.
Good.
Okay. So we'll stop sharing that. We'll go back to here. And we have public comment.
Okay. We will open up for public comments. And we have our policy up on the
It's
screen.
coming from confusion for me.
Okay, so I still do need loudly your name and town. Thank you, Kathy.
Kozlowski, Ringe.
Thank you.
So if you could just clarify for me, for a teacher, under their contract, they get paid for X number of days. Is that correct?
Yes.
Okay. So now for the support staff, they only get paid for days that they work.
Yes, there are a number of days that are spelled out in the contract, but hours worked, hours paid is the easiest way to say it.
Yeah.
Okay, so.
And of course, they have sick days and some
Right,
personal days and
right.
things of this nature.
So faculty, administration are salaried. They do not punch a clock.
Right,
JRSSA punches a clock, and they're hourly.
okay.
Does that make sense?
It does, and it clarifies for me some questions that I've heard about, because there are so many employees, the salaries are so high, and I don't think people realize the split between what you just said, the ones that do clock in, the ones that don't. So really, it was just clarification in my head. As we go through this, I'm wondering if you are at the point, maybe you're not at the point until next week, but is there a way of knowing when you're done what the actual percentage of the increase will be? Not just a number, but a percentage?
I think that's the 5% is that what you're asking?
Are you?
Yeah, I'm not sure what you're asking.
I'm going to ask a clarifying question. Do you mean the percent increase for the budget warrant article or for this right here?
The budget.
Yeah, we have a percentage for the budget, both for the default budget and for the number that right now is the proposed
Yes.
amount.
Okay.
So we'll have that at the hearing?
Mhm.
Yeah. Yeah, we'll have all the numbers.
I mean, you
at
could
the
probably go, I mean, it's probably on the last, a slideshow from our last session, there might be a percent there, but
Okay.
I
Yeah.
can't promise you that.
I
Okay,
haven't seen anything.
sure.
So that is for the budget alone, and then
Mhm.
whatever then comes from the warrant articles. Has there ever been a time where there's been an issue with a contract like this?
There's been times where across the state where the contracts are not approved. Yes,
I guess I'm just thinking about one.
it is possible.
Yes, here
Yep, they can.
we've had a support staff contract defeated
Yeah.
in recent memory.
In the last decade, we haven't had any fail.
Okay. That's reassuring. Okay. The concerns are just growing a little bit, that's all.
For all of us, Kathy.
I'd like to just walk around with a big, huge roll of duct tape and, okay. I'm done.
Okay, we're done with public comments.
Are there any comment? No, we're done with the in-person public comment. Do we have
Anybody online?
anyone online? You can raise your hand and I can give you the ability to speak. And of course, Sandy, you're online and already have that ability. All right. I don't see that anyone is looking to have public comment online. All right.
Are there any board matters?
I just had a question, a clarifying question from the discussion on insurance. You're going to be meeting on the 20th. Is it you and
Carrie and I will.
you and Karen?
Will
Okay.
certainly be there. I will likely, once I have more information, ask for some board members to be there too. I just don't want, I don't know if it's going to take place. I will cancel it really fast if I don't have the information, but that's why I'm just giving you the 20th. Look at your calendars. 3:30 is the time frame. I would want a couple people. Obviously, we don't want more than 3. You're going to have to be involved after that, even if we,
Yeah.
we will have to have 3 people meeting after that on other days. So
This is an informational session?
it's an informational session. Yeah.
All right.
Yeah, these things, I guess I just would comment is that you mentioned you've been involved in these negotiations in a number of different schools, different positions. And I can really tell that because you seem to be very much on top of the negotiating points, and I think that that's great.
Thank you.
Appreciative of that.
One thing that the board is going to need to do after the 15th, after you decide what all the warrants are going to be, after the hearing, Carrie has some quick work to do on the 16th, and then maybe early the following week. We're going to need all the board members, whether it be that Friday or the Monday or the Tuesday, I think it is, to at some point to stop in. We'll send an email about this, but to come over and sign a bunch of documents that we're going to need from the DRA. Those get posted everywhere, and they need the school board signatures. And it's just signing what you've already approved, but telling people that you approved it.
All right. Could you please tell us, before we go, what to expect at Thursday night's budget hearing? Are we going to have all the admin, or like all the departments speaking? Is this going to be a fast, like you're doing a slideshow? Is it something you want me to put together? Like, what is the plan?
Carrie's putting together the budget aspects. So we will, anyone who wants to can go through it. Basically, what usually happens is I end up doing the base presentation. It's not going to be super long in comparison to what we've done in the past. But there are some things that, we're there to answer questions. And then also the board can kind of look at that and hear that and be part of it and say, okay, because during the deliberative session, the board members, it's your budget at that point. You adopt it. You say, I'm putting this forward or I'm not putting this, we're putting it forward as a group, but I either like this or I don't. You've had your little vote on it afterwards and so forth. And so then it gets presented at the deliberative session. That's usually when the board, in the last several years anyway, has decided to divvy it up, all the warrant articles to talk about. And you have an attorney there, and you have myself there, and Carrie there, and so forth to help.
If we could see those slides beforehand so that we'll, like familiar with them without having to kind of go through them as we sit at the table, that would help.
Yep. I mean, one of them is up here, so you just saw one.
Right.
And I will not be going through all that language. It will be mostly just focusing on the money parts of it.
Yeah.
And I would just recommend the board really allow the time to be the public's at that point. We've had a lot of time with the numbers and absolutely ask questions, get more information, but both this and the deliberative really are the public's turn to come and say, this is what we want to see. So as much as we can limit our time up front, let them ask the questions, and then we'll know what to answer, if that's fair. All right. Any further questions, discussion? We'll take a motion to adjourn. That's the motion. I know it's shocking.
Yeah.
Thank you, Christine.
This has to be a first.
I know, it's
Yeah,
fantastic.
it's happened.
It should
Yeah.
always be so easy.
It's a special meeting.
Yeah.
Wasn't even on the agenda.
It's actually an extra hour.
Yeah,
It's out on
this
Thursday.
doesn't feel good. All right, so Christine, we have a second. Judy, thank you, Judy. And we'll do a roll call vote. Sandra?
Aye.
Judy? Christine? Chris?
Aye.
John?
Aye.
Lisa says aye. Passes 600. Thank you, everybody, for joining us.